Hey friends, Jewel back again with another astrology video, and we are talking about Pluto conjunct partner's ascendant and what you can expect when you have this between two people. So this is a very complex and deeply psychological connection when we see this one come up in Synastry. So Pluto is really very representative of the 8th house and of scorpionic things. It's that 8th house within us. So, sex, death, taxes, buried things, bizarre psychology, our crisis, our ups and downs, difficult to manage things are found in the 8th house. So, the ascendant is somebody's personality. It's very much where the chart of someone speaks. The houses in a chart represent all the different areas of someone's life that have importance, but the ascendant is really the mouthpiece of the chart. It's really the personality. The sun is the identity, the moon is the emotions, the feelings, the unconscious, the sun the conscious, the ascendant is very much what we choose to show to the world. So it's, the personality that we form, between 0 and age 7 has a lot to do with the sun and the ascendant, and that ascendant is what we show to the world. So, people really give their ascendant enough credence in astrology because it is hugely important. It is one of the 3 legs of your primary self, the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. So when the ascendant is contacted in Synastry, it's actually very important to notice this, because this is where somebody's what they're showing and what they're doing and what they're physically doing, where they're talking to the world, this is where this is actually affected. And it can show a lot about the physical body as well, how that is affected also by another person, because this is a Synastry video. So, Synastry is when you put 2 charts together or side by side, you can see the connections between the 2 people. So if you don't know a lot about that, refer to my other videos, what is a Synastry and a composite chart, and it will tell you. So Pluto is that deeply psychological part of ourselves. The ascendant is the where we do our talking and our acting and our dealing with the world. So this is a connection that has very deep psychological overtones when we see this. The Pluto person holds great power over the ascendant person, one way or another. The Pluto person is very attracted to the looks, the demeanor, the personality, because this is the ascendant. So they're very attracted to, what they can see, what the ascendant person is showing in the world. So Pluto is that part of us that really wants to achieve power through control. And typically, when we see this connection, we see this for a reason. And this orb for this actually has to be close. And I'll talk at the end of this video about the generational aspect of this. But the orb for this has to be within 1 to 3 degrees, because it just is. This is an outer planet, planetoid. The farther out the planets get, generally the smaller orb we use. This is one also that, actually, no, maybe I'm not going to wait till the end of the video to talk about this. I'm going to do it now. What do you know? It's me, Virgo on the ascendant. Too much information too soon. This is an aspect that actually has a generational aspect to it. So, meaning that Pluto is so slow moving that somebody's ascendant is going to be conjunct a lot of different people's Pluto, a part of a generation of people. So, like, my ascendant is conjunct to people who are about 57 years old. So, if you want to avoid this aspect altogether, you need to either date, older or younger. You need to date a different age group other than the one who your ascendant or your Pluto is conjunct to. So it's one that you're going to find with a lot of people in the world just because of the nature of the movement of Pluto. So it's one that you can actually avoid, or if you decide that this is one that you like in your life and you handle it well, one that you can look for. So the ascendant is very much, the actions of a person. And when we see this one in Synastry, often it's showing that the Pluto person is very attracted to the actions of the ascendant person, very attracted to what they see, the looks, the physicality of the ascendant person. So Pluto is also where we can feel insecure and want to control. We want to keep things. Pluto is where we are so intense about something that we will do anything to keep it. Where we have deep, deep need for something, and we can often mistake it as love. And so you have to really, really consider the nature of Pluto in somebody's natal chart when you see this in Synastry. You have to see how the individual, especially who has their Pluto conjunct to the other person's ascendant, how are they handling their Pluto? Is it a really big challenge for them? Are they very Plutonic themselves? Is that way they have attracted this particular relationship? If so, or often if there's an age difference, or if there is, like the ascendant person is very beautiful, or the Pluto person, wants to very much keep that. There is often a reason why the Pluto person has attached to the ascendant person the way that they have. So that can show up if we're talking about somebody who has some more negative aspects of Pluto to work out, if they are Plutonic themselves, that can show up as being very controlling towards the ascendant person. And that is typically the manifestation that we see when we have this contact in Synastry. Usually we find the difficult aspects of Pluto coming out between these two people. That not all the time, because Pluto can actually have a very regenerative effect. But you typically see the thing is with Pluto is you have to work for it. You have to work for the good stuff that he gives you. That's just the nature of his contacts. So yes, you can have an easier time, especially if you're dealing with somebody like a man that is lightly Plutonic, doesn't really have a lot of Plutonic issues, and he's in a relationship with a female where his Pluto is conjunct the ascendant. You can see the lighter or the less difficult to manage aspects of Pluto coming out with this particular aspect. But that's just, I'm saying that's typically not what we see. So this one indicates, however Plutonic the two people are, it indicates very intense involvement. The problem is that the ascendant is really in danger of being formed or manipulated or forced in some way by the Pluto person. The Pluto person is heavily, heavily attracted to the ascendant person, heavily invested in the things of the ascendant person. That is physically keeping them around. You have to understand that the ascendant represents the physical body of a natal chart. So this is indicating that the Pluto person has a deep, deep need to keep the ascendant person around their physical body. So there we can see issues of being controlled, the ascendant person being controlled, their whereabouts being controlled, their comings and goings being controlled, issues of their actual physical body being controlled or formed or manipulated in some way by the Pluto person. That is the biggest thing that we typically see with this contact. So the ascendant person often feels that they have to retain certain traits that the Pluto person is needing from them. We see this contact in the synastry of people that experience Stockholm Syndrome quite frequently. This is one where the ascendant person can be over time manipulated into a certain sympathy, a very intense bond, a sympathetic bond with the Pluto person. So it's one where, you know, the Pluto person has a great amount of control over the ascendant person. How they choose to use that is entirely up to, you know, the individuals. So the ascendant person can, you know, psychologically and physically give their all to the Pluto person. And so there's always going to be some degree of power play when we have this contact. So it's always important to go back to the natal charts and see, you know, what potentials exist within these individuals, because that will show you the potentials that exist within the synastry. So it's one that is a big red flag when I see this between two people. It doesn't necessarily mean that this relationship is not going to work out. It does imply that there's going to be some amount of struggle. We are going to have some amount of Pluto coming out as a result of their involvement with the personality of this ascendant person. The ascendant person strikes the Pluto person in such a way that it brings out a lot of their control issues where they would not normally, ever show that. Pluto is a very primal and hidden and secretive part of us. And so when somebody, strikes us in such a way that that is brought out, it can often be a bit of a Pandora's box for the Pluto person. So it's very much, it can have a very transformative effect on the ascendant person. The ascendant person can find themselves very much stronger, smarter, have had very penetrating insight into their own psychology as a result of the involvement with the Pluto person. And the Pluto person can be very much transformed when it comes to the hidden power-seeking parts of themselves, the things that they don't want to confront about themselves, issues that are causing them to feel like they must manipulate or control. That is brought to the surface by their involvement with the ascendant person. So Pluto has this effect of making people feel like they are meant to be. It has this very karmic feel to it. Saturn ties as well. But Pluto, when we have thick Pluto between two people, they can be insistent that they have to be meant to be. They must be meant to be. It really feels like they are meant to be, and they will work for it and work for it, work for it because of this belief that because of the intensity of the tie, and that's what it is, it's the passion and the intensity. Because of that, they mistake that for must be meant to be. That is not the case. You have to understand the intensity and love are not the same thing. And with Pluto, that is not apparent. It really feels like obsession is love when we have heavy Pluto contacts. And this is one that can really show that the Pluto person is very much obsessed with the Ascendant person. And so there can be this feeling of, from the Ascendant person of, intense involvement, but yet are they truly loved? Because love is sacrificial. Pluto is a selfish energy within us. So it's a contact that really sets two people up for some very powerful transformation within their own selves. That is the underlying reason for heavy Pluto contacts. It is to transform our own selves. It is not about forever, typically. It is not about this being the one and only, and we are going to sacrifice ourselves upon the altar of true love, whether or not we're black and blue with hurt and pain. That is really not a happy or healthy long-term relationship. That is Pluto. That is the till death do us part, even if I have to kill you. That is really not love. That is more obsessional. And so when we have heavy Pluto ties in synastry, that's something we have to keep in mind. That is it coming from a place of love, this tie, or is it coming from a place of obsession? And often with this particular one, and Pluto, hard aspects to the moon, hard aspects to Venus as well, we can see those being more obsessional reasons, which would imply selfish reasons for being together. So I hope this was informative. It was probably too much information as usual. Please like my channel, subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be back with more super cool videos. Yes, I do private consultation all the time. I specialize in partner astrology, synastry, composites, that type of thing. I am mostly a relationship and intimacy astrologer, but I interpret all types of charts under the sun. And you can find me on the internet at truthinAspectAstrology.com. You can find me on Facebook at Truth in Aspect Astrology, where you should be following me because I do daily astrology weather forecasts, birthday descriptions, articles, writings, all kinds of cool stuff. So find me over there, and I'll be back super soon. Bye-bye.